It's so, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. Really had me like in my feels. Reading a video that I will be reading in today's vlog is Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. So the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Now I thought I would never read this book because I don't normally like urban fantasy books or urban books in general, really. There's something about it, especially when it comes to fantasy, where it's difficult for me to come to terms in my mind when there's urban or modern day technologies, but also like fae and vampires. And I just didn't really have an interest in it. And don't get me wrong, I love Throne of Glass. You may see I have some of the books there. Like, I love Throne of Glass, and I really enjoyed most of the books in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, all by Sarah J. Maas. So I consider myself a fan of Sarah J. Maas. Like, I would say I love her books. But for some reason, I just didn't want to read this one, or so I thought for quite a while. But then something in me, I think it's just seeing all of the Sarah J. Maas propaganda on social media, it got to me finally, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just curious to read it now. I know all the spoilers, but I'm curious to read it anyway and just see, because you know, there's a difference in like knowing how a story goes versus like seeing actually all the details. Like, I know the main plot points overall, but that doesn't really help you like capture the author's voice and like how they're sharing the story. So I'm just gonna read it and share my thoughts with you as I go throughout. It is a super long book though, so wish me luck. I think it's like 805 or 800 something pages. So I'm just like, this is gonna take me ages, just absolutely forever. Okay, it's been an interesting process so far. I am currently 27% of the way through, so the plot is underway, things are happening, but just to share a bit of what I've seen so far. Classic Sarah J. Maas. I've seen little snippets here and there of all those phrases that she likes to use in all of her books. Like, oh my gosh, some of her top things. Death incarnate. She loves describing men, powerful men that way. Like calls to like. That was one of her key terms in A Court of Silver Flames, which I'm not a fan of. And I've seen it once so far. I can't remember if it's been other times, but so far she included that once. And you know, it's just kind of funny to see all the little things that she likes to say in here. I have to admit, I'm kind of struggling with this one. The first 15% was fine to get into. Like, I was surprisingly like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. And over the last 10%, you know, between 15% to 25%, I'm just kind of feeling meh about it so far. Normally, personally for myself, usually by 20% into a book, I'm able to tell like whether I'll like it or not, like if, or at least like whether I want to continue reading. And if I don't like a book, usually I'll try to get to 20% before I DNF it or put it down. I'm currently at page 209, so 200 pages so far, quite a ways, and I'm not totally enthralled by it. In terms of the main character, Bryce, I have to say it's kind of bugging me a little bit how Sarah's making her kind of Aelin-esque. Throne of Glass is what I'm referring to with that one, where like all of the strategic planning she does and like all these really great plots that she doesn't keep other people looped in on, and then all of a sudden she like reveals this whole thing. Bryce is like trying to do that, but it's just not actually necessary. Like, Hunt is supposed to be protecting her. He's invested in it because he has something to gain. It's also his job. He has no choice. So there's not really a point in her leaving him out. So it kind of just feels like she's just not that interesting, and she's kind of just similar to Sarah's other characters. Okay, things are getting a little weird. I'm at the part where Bryce ran off to a club to pretend to get drunk, and Hunt runs after her and realizes that she's no longer drinking, she's just drinking on water, and wants everyone to think that she's still just like a crazy party girl. And I have a laugh because her friend Juniper is there, and they're sitting down at the club, and she's like, I'll have a veggie burger with pizza and plant-based cheese. And then Hunt's like, I'll have a bone-in ribeye and roasted green beans. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, what kind of club is this? Like, the whole time I'm envisioning, like, it's just like a dance club where, like, really there's only bars. Like, there might be, you know, the booths where people can sit, like, you can, like, get a bottle, and I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's like, you know, the VIP areas where you pay to have a circle table and seats in a booth, so you can like look out on the dance floor. And like, even if there's clubs with like multiple tiers, there's bars that know like why are they ordering ribeyes and green beans? Like, no club I've ever been to has this kind of restaurant, so it just cracked me up because I was like, wait, this whole time I was picturing this is just like a dance club, and yeah, here they are having like a whole gourmet feast. So that cracked me up. In terms of the plot, I don't have too much else to say. I'm just continuing to read on, and hopefully things pick up. Okay, I'm 40% of the way through. Things have started to get a little bit more, you know, there was a little bit of a information dump from Rune when he shared the history of Luna's horn and why it's so important. He met with Bryce and Hunt at the church, whatever it's called, and then shortly thereafter, one of the priestesses had the same death that Danica and the pack did. So that's a little bit rough. And yeah, they're wondering who is the link between all these deaths and crimes. There was a little bit of a connection moment, and I'm kind of reading one right now between Hunt and Bryce, so I can see obviously that's starting to pan out, the romance side, and they're now like living together because the Autumn King has demanded that someone be guarding Bryce 24/7 and living in the house with her. Rune said he would do it, but since Hunt is already serving as her guard, he is now staying in her guest bedroom. So, you know, walking around shirtless and all that good stuff. Hello, it is another day. I think reading this book is going to take me much longer than I originally anticipated. It's about, you know, just over 800 pages, as we all know, and usually something like that would take me like maybe like 4 days if I'm going slow with it, or, you know, if I'm really going quickly with my reading, maybe 3 days. But it's already been, I think, 3 days, and I'm at 56%. And I don't know what it is, but I'm starting to feel towards Crescent City how I felt while reading A Court of Silver Flames. I did not like Nesta in the first, you know, ACOTAR trilogy, so I wasn't totally interested in reading a book like about her from her perspective, but I love Sarah J Maas's writing, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm really interested to know more about this world. And I found myself just not that interested in the story. Like, I felt like the plot was kind of loose in the sense that, like, everything had kind of already been wrapped up in the trilogy. So then it kind of felt like we were just making up problems to solve for Nesta to have something to do outside of obviously her personal development, which was already established, I will say. But yeah, it just kind of felt so I didn't really care about it that much. So at a certain point while I was reading, I just started like skimming through to find out what was gonna actually happen. And I'm finding myself there, and I'm only 56% of the way through. Like, okay, we had more, I think I already shared, like, we're learning more about the horn from Rune's perspective, and I was gonna say Quinn. Bryce and Hunt are like starting to connect. They had the scene where they're like at the gun range and they're like feeling each other, and that's starting to be further planted. But like there's so many things I feel like are just absolutely not relevant. Like the whole stuffed animal thing, whatever Jubilee, that I keep saying Quinn, that Bryce Quinlan has in her linen closet. Like, who cares? That didn't do anything for me. Like, that didn't make her seem quirky or cute. It also didn't add like anything to the romance. So I was kind of like, why is this here? And then her friend Juniper is like sharing about how she's gonna be principal in the ballet. Like, who cares? Like, this character is irrelevant. Like, I absolutely don't know why this is even in here. So there's just so many things that are, I'm like, what is the point? Like, what is even the plot? Because they just keep finding all these things and it's like, oh, nope, that's a dead end, that's a dead end, that's a dead end, that's a dead end. I'm like, is this just gonna be a dead end until finally it's like all this super intricate thing is revealed where it's like, oh, it was really this person. Or like, oh, it was really this power that caused this to happen, and like there were barely any hints about it along the way. Like, ugh. It's so I don't know. I'm just not really I'm not really feeling it. I'm getting kind of frustrated because it's taking me forever to read and I'm not really enjoying it anymore. Hey there, everyone. It's only been seconds for you, but for me, it's been a lifetime. Not really, but today is day 2000 of me continuing reading Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, I think it is. The first one, whatever the first one. Crescent City 1. I am reading it, and it doesn't usually take me so long to read books, but I think this is like day 7 or 6 of me trying to read this, and I just got to the 70% mark, and I think last time I chatted with you I was around like 45 or 50%, and man oh man, it was getting rough there for a moment. Like at 50% I was mentally like checked out, and you know, when I was first starting this book I was like, oh yeah, this is all right. Like I feel like this will be a middle of the road read for me, like a 3-star. Like I'm, you know, it's fine. Like, okay, yeah, reading it, it's better than what I thought a, like, contemporary fae mystery, murder mystery would be. But man, oh man, it has been rough in this middle section. The only reason I've been able to continue and get up to this 70% mark is because I skipped like 2 chapters in the middle. I could not do it. I just absolutely couldn't do it. Like, if I wanted to finish this book, I had to skip those chapters. My brain was just like absolutely done. So, gosh, so far I don't feel like I really missed anything by just swiping through those, but I'm at 70% now, and I paused because big things have happened. There's been lots of moments where Bryce and Hunt are connecting, and they're obviously getting, you know, closer and closer. Obviously they both know they're feeling each other, but she's like doubting whether he actually likes her because he said he still loves his old love interest. Bryce had the like crystallose venom removed from her leg, and now we're at the big part where Hunt just got his wings chopped off by Micah because he went and was like intimidating the second in command of the wolves. And that's kind of like, I just don't, one thing that's like I'm noting as I'm reading this book is like the stakes don't feel that high. Hunt is just like too nice for me. He has a month to get his total freedom, and like Bryce is like taking her sweet time. There were like 5 days in there where he was cool with her just like processing what's going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it was healthy that he let her do her thing and process news that she's getting about Danica throughout this thing, because she's getting all these news that like Danica is dealing with this drug thing and like all these things. She doesn't know who her friend really is anymore and that kind of idea. But at the same time, like, he is just fine. And I would think that there would at least be a thought in the back of his mind of getting antsy about this, like about trying to get his freedom and the days ticking down. Like, I would have a mental tracker after spending, 200 years or whatever as a slave. Like, that part's just weird to me. Bryce knows that about his deal, but like, she doesn't really think about it either. She's not like trying to rush, and that just really bugs me. I don't know why they're not like paying more attention to his potential timeline. But also, okay, he got his wings chopped off because the second in command of the wolves supposedly had a baker write trash in chocolate over these croissants that Bryce had. So he goes and he's like choking the wolf girl, like, don't ever bother her again. And then he gets his wings chopped off. I'm like, for some chocolate croissants? Like, is that really worth it? I don't think so. Like, you should have just killed her if you knew you were gonna get like that much of a punishment. Like, getting your wings chopped off is not some simple thing. So that's just crazy for me. Even though it said that his wings will grow back, it's just like, really? Today's the day. I'm finishing Crescent City. When I went to sleep last night, I was on like 93%. I would have finished it normally if I was at 93% into a book, but I was just dead, so I had to go to sleep. So yeah, I'm going to finish it today. Yay, I'm excited. There's been a ton that has picked up in this last section. So right now, right here, lots and lots of spoilers. I can't remember if I told you last time, but we got through the whole portion where Hunt is doing the drug deal and Bryce catches him and he's like, no, I changed my mind, I wasn't gonna do it, which was so dumb to me. I hated that whole section because he was saying that he decided he wasn't gonna go through with the drug deal, the synth deal, and he tried to tell his friends not to do it by going there, doing the deal, and then hoping they would leave. I was like, sir, if you didn't want to do it, why didn't you text your friend saying, no, I really don't think we should do this, and not go? Like, he went, they still did the deal because his friend wanted to do the deal. So even if he personally didn't want to do it, he still did it. So that was really annoying for me. I'm not like the biggest Hunt fan. He kind of irks me. And then all this craziness has happened where, we're learning all this stuff about Danica and like who she really is or who she might be and who Bryce didn't know she was. And of course now the summit is happening. So Victoria and the other Asteri that was doing the deal with Hunt, and Hunt is in jail, but he was given over to a bad-ass lady, whatever her name is again, his old owner, so that's sad for him. And now we're at the summit. Everything crazy went down. I've read past it now, but like everything crazy went down. Jessica, for some reason, got some like alert or something where she tuned in to the library and sees Bryce there. And Micah went to talk to Bryce and it reveals that he killed Danica in the pack, so it wasn't them attacking themselves, which is really nice because that would have been, I mean, it's not nice, like it's not nice that he killed them, but it would have been worse if like they had ripped themselves apart because of the drugs. Like that would have been worse than one bad guy. Micah came for Bryce. He tried to kill her because he discovered that she was the Horn. Now the whole reveal about like the horn being a part of the tattoo that was now in her skin that Danica gave her, like, I don't understand why that wasn't more clearly foreshadowed in the plot. Like, obviously, Bryce kept thinking back to when they got the tattoo, but I don't understand, like, why there wasn't more clear setup for that. Like, she could have talked about how she had like Danica had this special preparation for it, or something was like off about how they got it. Like it was just so flippantly mentioned throughout the book that it was kind of dumb that like that's how the horn was taken and has been stored for 2 years. Like, eh. Now at the summit, everyone watched how Bryce vacuumed the floor with Micah and how she now opened a gate to hell, 1L, HE single hockey stick, and now she's fighting demons from hell who are coming into Midgard and Crescent City, wherever they live. So she's fighting them off. Everyone went into like the secure bunkers that the city has, except for her and some of the Viper Queen soldiers that are still out there battling. And so now she's going around trying to close all the gates so they can no longer come out. So I'm gonna read the rest, the finale, and then give you all my last thoughts. And just like that, we're all done. I can't believe it. I finished Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. My goodness, what a journey. I'm not gonna lie. Sarah J. Maas had me in this last 10%. Oh my goodness. Did I shed a tear? I did. I'm not even gonna lie. I shed a tear. Okay, so obviously, you know, we know what's happened after the summit. Bryce is fighting all those demons and Hunt gets hit by a missile. His legs are gone. His right arm is gone. His wings are gone. He is barely alive. And the only thing that Bryce knows to do is to make the drop. Oh my gosh, she makes the drop! Okay, so with the drop, you have to have someone tethering you to life, but because of all the people who have given their power to the gate and the remaining parts of Danica's soul in the bone quarter, she's able to make it back up to life. And okay, Sarah J. Maas, like, I just like so deeply connect with how she writes female characters that are in emotional distress, and then have like a love or a friend who like will always be there for them. Like, she writes that so well, and it really had me like in my feels reading that part about her and Danica, and Danica, you know, pushing her back to life. So that really did it for me. And then now, you know, she saved the city for the most part. Some people still died, but the buildings aren't like broken down. She was able to repair that with her first light, or whatever it's properly called. And now they're on to whatever's happening next. There wasn't like super clear setup for what the conflict will be in the next book, though the epilogue like alluded to some more drama happening with Jessica and the cat guy. And of course, like, Bryce receives some threats from the leader of the Asteri or whatever, which literally, like, I only picture the lead vampire from Twilight, like, the Volturi, whatever, I'm blanking on the name, but like the leader guy, like, this is who I am imagining is calling her and saying like, don't use the horn that's on your back, but thanks for saving the city. And Hunt was freed, yay. Okay, so I appreciate that ultimately Hunt did have some contribution to saving Bryce and the city, and he wasn't just like sitting at the summit the entire time while she died. But yeah, so overall, my thoughts are, I think I give this book a 2. It's not something that I plan to read again for a long time. It was very, very long, and I didn't totally enjoy it. I may enjoy it at another time of life, which is why I say, you know, like, maybe I'll reread it again in the future, but it would probably not be for a long time. unless the next upcoming books in the series really capture me. Like, for example, Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses series, the first book, when I tried to read it, I was so bored. I did not like it. So I didn't read the first book. I watched a plot summary so I knew what happened. And then I read the next book in the series and loved them, except for Silver Flames. But like, I loved them. So, and Throne of Glass, like, I loved it from the first book. So Throne of Glass is the one. But enough about me ranting about how much I am obsessed with Throne of Glass. So yeah, Court of Thorns and Roses, I didn't like the first book, loved the next one. So I am not going to deny myself the potential of liking more of her books, because I know like there are certain things about her writing that just really, really get me in the feels, and I love them. So I will be trying the next book in the series. Overall, I'm gonna rate this a 2. For the most part, I'd say it's a 1, because I just really think it was written in a way that is kind of like a later book in a series, in the sense that I don't think it's like a starter to a new series. Like, it didn't build the world very well so you understand like how things work in this world or who the characters really are. Normally, first books in a series are a little bit more on the slow side and more simple in the sense that you're establishing everything that's going on. And this was kind of doing a little bit too much. And so obviously that impacted the length, but there was also just like some unnecessary things added in there. But the last part really picked it up for me. So like the beginning and the last part are what gives it that 2nd star for me. So unfortunate that I can't rate it higher and didn't enjoy it more, but like I said, I will be reading the next book in the series, and we have now received announcement that the 3rd book in the series will be out in January of 2024. So I am hoping that I like the next book so that way I can check out the 3rd one. And Sarah currently has 3 more books in the ACOTAR series scheduled, and she just got another 4-book deal that may or may not be in those respective series. So there's lots more books coming up, so even if I may not like a future one, I am pretty confident that I'll like any of her other upcoming books. And if anything, I'll just reread Throne of Glass. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy, you know, hearing and discussing fantasy books and romance books. That's what I like to chat about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought of the book in the comments below. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in another video very soon. Bye.